Chapter 12, Section 3, Other Patterns of Inheritance. Learning objectives: describe some of the exceptions to Mendel's principles. Explain the environment's role in the way genes determine traits. Most genes do not behave quite so neatly as the two-allele pattern of simple dominance shown by Mendel's P's. Many genes are quite a bit more complicated. A cross between two 4 o'clock flowers shows a common exception to Mendel's principles. Some alleles are neither completely dominant nor recessive. The F1 generation produced by a cross between the red flowers, or represented by big R, and a white flower, represented by little r, consists of pink flowers, which are big R, little r. Which allele is dominant in this case? Neither one. Cases in which one allele is not completely dominant over the other are called incomplete dominance. In incomplete dominance, the heterozygous phenotype lies somewhere in between two homozygous phenotypes. A similar situation arises from codominance. Codominance is a situation in which the phenotypes produced by both alleles are clearly expressed. For example, in certain varieties of chickens, the allele for black feathers is codominant with the allele for white feathers. Heterozygous chickens have a color described as erminate, speckled with black and white feathers. Unlike the blending of red and white flowers, black and white colors appear separate in chickens. Many human genes, including one for protein that controls cholesterol levels in the blood, show codominance as well. So far, the examples that we've shown have only described two genes, or two alleles for each gene, such as a small a and a big A. In nature, such genes are the exception rather than the rule. Many genes exist in several different forms and are therefore said to have multiple alleles. A gene with more than two alleles is said to be multiple alleles. Any individual, of course, usually has only two copies of each gene, but many different alleles are often found within the population. One of the best-known examples is coat color in rabbits. A rabbit's coat color is determined by a single gene that has at least 4 different alleles. The 4 known alleles display a pattern of simple dominance that can produce 4 coat colors. Many other genes have multiple alleles, including human genes for blood type, as we know are A, B, and O. Many traits are produced by the interaction of several genes. Traits controlled by 2 or more genes are said to be polygenic traits, meaning many genes. At least 2 and as many as a dozen genes are responsible for the many different shades of the human eye color. As you might expect, polygenic traits often show a wide range of phenotypes. Some traits follow non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. Things like maternal inheritance. What causes maternal inheritance? Chloroplasts and mitochondria contain genes of their own on small DNA molecules within both organelles. Chloroplasts in the morning glory plant are inherited from the egg cell, and these determine the leaf colors for the offspring. Similarly, in human mitochondria, which is inherited from the mother's egg, and as a result of this, genetic disorders in human mitochondrial DNA also follow a pattern of maternal inheritance. Think of hemophilia or colorblindness. Another source of non-Mendelian inheritance is caused by chemical modification of certain genes, a process known as genetic imprinting. In mice, for example, a gene regulating body size is imprinted in a way that silences it in the next generation, whenever it is carried by the female. Mice inheriting the gene from their mothers may suffer from dwarfism. However, mice inheriting the very same gene from their fathers do not. Genetic imprinting occurs in many human genes as well. The characteristics of any organism, whether plant, fruit fly, or human being, are not determined solely by genes that the organism inherits. Genes provide a plan for development, but how that plan unfolds also depends on the environment in which that organism lives. In other words, the phenotype of an organism is only partly determined by its genotype. Environmental conditions can affect gene expression and influence genetically determined traits. An individual's actual phenotype is influenced by its environment as well as its genes.